Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation to bring you my list. They'll be taking on Lane in our next battle report. And this is going to be, first I was going to play Necrons, but we have not seen rules for the Geomancer yet. And I've been doing a lot of work with my Canoptic Court. I think that's going to be a perfect home from him. So instead of playing robotic dudes, we're going to be playing dude robots. We're bringing the AdMech. AdMech got a huge glow up in the data slates with a bunch of big changes that really could affect how they perform in competitive 40K. A lot of their randomization got taken away, and a lot more reliable damage output has been given to this army, especially in one huge change, and that is to Belisarius Cawl. It is not too much for me to say that Belisarius Cawl will be calling the shots. Let that sink in for a second. But yes, Belisarius Cawl, he has Oath of Moment. They gave Cawl Oath of Moment. You pick the ability that does instead of it being +1 to hit, they shifted it and said you pick a unit, your entire army gets reroll hits into it. And you pick this at the beginning of your command phase, it goes to your next command phase. So you're rerolling hits in the shooting, the fighting, and Overwatch if need be. Very strong ability. So I'm going to be running the Cybernetic Cohort. The reason I'm taking the Cybernetic Cohort is the stratagems that you have access to with the vehicles, as well as this new, the new Belisarius Cawl, the way he functions, means I can actually do a lot of coverage into a vehicle-based meta. So I'm kind of in the move of trying to do like that anti-meta thing, bringing something that the meta picks I'm able to hit hard and remove a lot of, from vehicles to Imperial Knights, all that jazz. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about here. Let's see these units in action, because the more I talk about it, the more confusing it's going to get until you see what the meat and potatoes of this army looks like. All right, here's the AdMech. All right, here it is, 1995 of Adeptus Mechanicus in the Cybernetic Cohort. So Cybernetic Cohort is the detachment that allows me to, basically my robots get +2 move, taking them up to a move characteristic of 8, and +1 OC. So we're not really taking a lot of advantage of the detachment ability on this one, but the stratagems are very strong for a lot of the units that I'm looking to run today. And that's kind of where a lot of this is going to go. So first off, we'll start with the Kastelan robots, as mentioned. They're going to be led by a datasmith. We are doing the punchy bots. So we have 4 twin-linked Kastelan fists. If I go into our Belisarius Cawl Oath of Moment target, it's just so much more reliability out of these guys to be able to hit so many more. And even when they get down to having less robots in the squad, still a high amount of damage. These guys are flat 3 damage. It's just, when these guys charge, and now having that access, like I said, to that reroll hits, potentially, it's just so much. It's just so much that they can do, or so much damage that they're able to put out. Now, on top of having reroll hits with the standard ability that they have, or the Belisarius Cawl ability, there is also a stratagem, which I want to double check for and make sure, because I do believe it goes for both. But Kastelan robots come in with T8 to start. So they're more durable than you would expect them to be. There's 7 wounds apiece, and they have a 2-up save with a 5-up invulnerable. They have my favorite rule in the game, which is if they make a 6, if I make a save of a 6, I'm sorry, they're toughness 9. They start at toughness 9, and they can be a +1 for the datasmith, because with the datasmith joining them, he lets them switch up all their protocols and stuff like that. But that's off the datasmith himself. So toughness 9, 2-up save, 5-up invuln. When they make a save of a 6, the person hitting them, the shooter, because it has to be ranged, takes a mortal wound. So love that ability. It's hilarious for it. But then, as I mentioned, the Cybernetic Datasmith, he can shoot them over into different protocols. One for shooting that gives them +2 attacks, shoot to their guns. One for combat, which gives them +2 attack for their melee weapons. And the defensive one, that gives them +1 toughness. So having +2 attacks, taking the Kastelan fists up from 4 attacks apiece up to 6 attacks is pretty big. Now the weapon skill 4 up can be kind of rough, but given the fact that the Doctrina being now, which robots just get inherently, we can get at the 3s on their weapon skill alone right there. And then you have this cybernetic cohort for, trying to look this up real quick. So I want to make sure, because I think we can go into the full rerolls to hit off the stratagems. So let's see. Weapon skill 3s, command phase, command phase. That is below its starting strength. You can re-roll the hit rolls anytime make an attack. Yeah. So you have to lose one. But once you lose one robot, then you can go full re-rolls to hit with the squad. So they just get angrier and angrier and angrier. So Kastelan robots are nice. They are a little pricey. And they also give up 6 on Bring It Down, which I'm not a big fan of there. But we're tweaked it with some other stuff. So we should be okay. Next up, I don't think I've run these guys yet in 10th edition, at least on the channel. Maybe I have early on. We're bringing 2 of the Scorpius Dune disintegrators. This is the gun tank. So it does have the Belisarius cannon on it because I'm not switching it up for it. We're using the Thermite cannon. So we got 3 shots there with the Thermite cannon. Then we also have 3 shots twin linked with the Daedalus missile. Then you have the Cognis heavy stubbers, which are 3 shots apiece, and there's 3 of those that are rapid fire 3 and sustained as well too on that. Now, Cognis heavy stubbers are heavy stubbers. That's what they're not the main talking point. It's the big hit tank damage. We got strength 12, AP 3, D6 +1 damage, and then the missiles are twin linked, strength 9, AP 2 for D6 damage. So this thing can put out quite a bit of damage off of its hits into some high armored targets and high value targets. Now, the strength 12 concerns me a little bit. We'll see how that goes. With knights being toughness 11 now, I'm looking at this going, okay, this might have a better home since those big knights having the T11, so we'll be able to at least wound them on 3s. The other big factor is, again, now this comes into the stratagem spread, because there is a strat that we can target a unit, like we mentioned before. If we got a unit that's damaged, we can target the unit and go full re-rolls to hit. Okay, well, these guys, they take 1 wound, and now I can target them with that to get full re-rolls to hit. They also, their inherent abilities when they're shooting at a monster or vehicle, they get +1 to hit. Now, the Doctrina ability for the shooting aspect increases our ballistic skill by 1. So these guys can get 2s to hit in the shooting phase relatively easily, just off targeting a vehicle and the Doctrina being in effect. So that's something we don't even need to target them with a stratagem for. But we could to get in the full rerolls to hit aspect of it, just to make sure. And if we do switch over into the assault-based Doctrina. When these guys are targeted by a strat for out of 5 up, they will refund the CP to me, which is really nice. It's just a nice little ability to have on hand. But for the most part, 165 points, not too bad. And I feel like with knights being T11 now, these guys have more play with this and can help me distribute some of these abilities. Next up, we have 2 of the Onager Dune Crawlers. And these guys are going to be sporting the neutron lasers. So Onager Dune Crawlers, 4 up invuln. Love it right there. Good stats, good wound characteristic, 155 points. These guys are really cool, like honestly what they do and how bulky they are. And again, for 1, you put 1 damage on me, and now I'm looking at potentially full rerolls to hit. Their ability is that they give off a 4 up invuln to battle line, but as we go on, you'll see I have no battle line units in this army, other than Cawl. Technically, he could be, but otherwise, their big thing is just their 4 up invuln. They hit on 4s, but once again, Doctrina taking them to 3s. Their weapon is heavy, which is +1 to hit, so could put them hitting on 2s. And then there is the detachment. There is a stratagem that I can target a unit with, and when they're shooting at a unit on an objective marker, I can get +1 to hit, or I'm sorry, get 3 up ballistic skill. Now, right there, it's changing our stat to a 3 up ballistic skill, and then with the Doctrina giving us +1 to that ballistic skill, once again, we're looking at 2s to hit. Now, the neutron laser is my answer to those big toughness 12 things, and the reason I'm running them 2 and 2. Neutron laser is d6 plus 2 damage on 3 shots at strength 16. So this is the gun that will hopefully help me get through those bigger, tougher targets that sit at T12. Now, the T12 mark has kind of is not as prominent as it was before, with knights dropping down to toughness 11. So we're looking at Land Raiders, we're looking at Rogel Dorn, we're looking at Monolith and stuff like that. Yeah, there's still some toughness 12s out there floating around, but not with the knights dropping down, not as much. So I'm happy to see that. We'll see how these guys do. Again, with the stratagems that we have access to, these guys, if I target them, I did give them the broad spectrum data tether, so they won't have access to the smoke strat because I lose that ability. But if I target them with a strat, then on a 5 up, we get that CP back, which is really, really nice. Moving on to the, well, let's go over to some of the infantry units now. So we have 2 5-man squads of Sicarian infiltrators. As I said in my other video, these guys got +1 AP now, so they're AP 1. Infiltrators, like the name suggests, can infiltrate. So they're going to be something that I put up on the front line, able to score me some secondary points, as well as help zone out from deep strikers and such to help keep my, give me some room between my tanks, so my tanks don't get just charged and crushed early. That's not a good time for me. Also, in our foot infantry, we're going to be trying out 2 of the, what are they called? Servitor Battleclade. So the Servitor Battle Conclave, realistically, they're not that good in anything aspect of it. You know, mine are going to have the heavy arc rifle, the heavy bolter. We're not going to, I'll have probably one that will have the melta-gun marked out on him, because I'd have to do some work to these guys if I actually decide to, run them. But what the big selling point on these is, this is a 9 model unit that doesn't have a character. It's not character on him. It's a tech priest, but he's not character rule. You have 9 models for 60 points that most of them have a 6-up invulnerable save and have the ability to advance and do actions, and action and still shoot. Mostly the advance and still do actions. 60 points for 9 dudes. Okay, I like that. That's a lot of zoning out. Yes, it's susceptible to blast because of those, but I like this. I like this little squad. So we're going to give them a test, see how they do. And then I'll probably convert up the rest of these, because I have my servitors. So I'd have to convert up a couple more of them, make a, get a melta-gun into it, switch some stuff up, but get all the guns into it. But yeah, we're going to try these guys out today and see how they do to get me some secondary points and just help, again, zone out my board like the infiltrators do. Moving on, we have 2 engine seers. So engine seers, it's very simple. They can target a vehicle unit and heal a guy. Then that model that got healed gains a 4-up feel no pain. I'm sorry, 5-up feel no pain. So what's really nice about this is being able to, because of our command phase buffs that we're looking at here, this is ability that we use this to, first of all, we heal our vehicles. That's always great. Second of all, these guys have lone op, so they're defensive. They're cheap, and if you blow up a vehicle near them, they get angry. And honestly, just their general stat line alone is just kind of hilarious on how angry they really get. They go from 3 attacks to 6 attacks, which is adorable. They give off a 5-up feel no pain. Now, here's the kicker. This is done in the command phase. You know what else is done in the command phase? The strat for full rerolls to hit, which also has another tier of it that if you're below half strength, you have full rerolls to wound as well too. So things like the disintegrators or the doom crawlers and stuff like that, because of the timing of this, we can target because all of our stratagems. The one thing about this detachment, all the stratagems are done during the command phase. So we got to program our machines before we do anything. But this full reroll to hit is also done during the command phase. So you can go and target the unit and go, I'm going to give it full rerolls to hit and then heal it. In some scenarios, you may only have like 2 or 3 wounds on it. And now you can target it with this, give full rerolls to hit, and then heal it and back up to full. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't allow you to do it, because you're only allowed to, because it's specifically for the stratagem purpose. Ooh, actually, that's a good point now I think about it. Can reroll. But yeah, you just to target it gives it has to be below its starting strength. And until the next command phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll. And if you're below half strength, you reroll the wound roll as well. So you target it, give it the full rerolls to hit, and then heal it. Basically, that's their job. That's what they do. They also kind of help zone out little pockets in the back. They can wander away onto secondaries. Things like, recover assets, where sometimes you struggle to find a unit to do it in midfield, maybe. These are guys for that. Typically, I'd like to have Taraxi in that role, but we're not bringing any Taraxi today, so we can't do that. Next up, we get to the final 2 units here. We have Big Man Belisarius Cawl. So, all right, this is where the army gets crazy, or the entire codex changes up and gets really crazy. So now Cawl, his old ability was +1 to hit as an aura. You get one of 3 abilities you can pick because he's Supreme Commander, one of which was to give reroll 1s to hit. Another one was to give +1 leadership and battle shock. Last balance data slate, they also add that if you do this, Cawl gains battle line, which is very, very interesting because of how some of the battle line stuff interact, having a battle line unit within range. So having Cawl suddenly just gain battle line is very, very interesting and definitely a unique ability. And then the last one is, it used to be benefits of cover. Now it gives you stealth. So stealth is something you typically can't really get on the map. So I can see where that's kind of an upgrade with him alone. The other one that gave you the +1 leadership when battle shocking now also gives you +1 OC. Okay, that's pretty cool. But the +1 to hit, we have both a moment now. So the first of all is the timing of this ability. You choose it at the beginning of your command phase and it goes into your next command phase, which makes it big for this ability because the ability just says select an enemy unit. Your army gets full rerolls to hit into that unit. So that means shooting, fighting, and Overwatch, you have full rerolls to hit into that target. That's pretty big. Marine players know. Oath of Moment is huge. And so that's going to make it so that a lot of my army that has fours to hit and such can get those full rerolls into things to be able to make their shots more accurate or punches more accurate and stuff like that. Now, the cybernetic cohort, as I mentioned, we have the strats that can get us full rerolls to hit on damaged units. We can go +3. We can go ballistic skill 3 up on a unit, and then with some of these things go get 2s to hit onto it. As I mentioned, like the disintegrators, they are getting +1 to their ballistic skill, and then they get +1 to hit. So there's ways to stack that because this is one army that actually does have ballistic skill and hit modifiers into it. It's very rare to see that, but that's a big part of this army. And the last piece of this puzzle, now Cawl targets a unit and gives us full rerolls to hit into it. And in some weird ways, that means we could take something like a big knight that is sitting in the middle of the table and rush it with multiple Dragoons. We have 3 2-man squads of Dragoons. So, Dragoons. First of all, 4 attacks apiece, full rerolls to hit, into sustain 2. I love that. Great starting point. Advance and charge, you say. Love that even more. That's beautiful. A 1 command point strat that can give these guys +3 move and +1 to their charge. Ooh, that sounds real nice. Let's finish it off with these guys have their Taser Goad, the big lance. It has lance, strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage, lance, and anti-walker 2 up. So anti-walker 2 up is just hilarious in its own right. But right now, looking at Imperial Knights, that could be insane. That could be hilarious to be able to charge into things like a pocket of armigers and just completely run through them. Now, before, one of the things with Dragoons that I was hesitant was stuff like Bring It Down, because Dragoons are 7 wounds apiece. So if I take a 3-man squad of them, that means that squad, like right now in current Bring It Down rules, a 3-man squad of Dragoons gives up 6 points for Bring It Down when they're destroyed. But you take the 6-man, because then when you can have access to strats like full rerolls to hit when one gets destroyed. So now you need one to get destroyed. Moving over into now what we're seeing with this, not only do we not need that, because if we go and pick something like a big knight in the middle of the table for our of the moment target, we can swarm it with all 3 squads of Dragoons, giving all 3 squads full rerolls to hit, and all 3 squads being able to proc sustained, and all 3 squads already have their anti-walker 2 up. So this can end up being a really, really strong amount of damage going through onto these things, especially since they can advance and charge as well. Other than that, and then the other big thing is, like, as I mentioned across this, that Bring It Down points. So Dragoons, taking a 2-man means that there are 14 wounds. Puts them 1 wound under, giving you an additional 2 points. So with this army, the Dragoons give up 2 points apiece, 6 points total. The 3-man, as I said, would be 6 points for that. So if I took 6 Dragoons and took them as 2 3-mans, that's 12 points just in Dragoons. My Kastelan robots are 6 points because it's a big squad, but every other vehicle in my army is only 2 points for them. Belisarius Cawl is a monster, so he would give up 2 points as well, meaning that it'd be 22 points for Bring It Down in this army if you were to basically table me. Because the infiltrators and the battlecades, I'm not expecting them to survive through the end of the game, but taking everything out, you basically table me to score Bring It Down, and now with challenger cards being gone, that might not be a risk you really want to take, especially when 4 of those vehicle units are really not going to spend much time progressing up the table. Good 6 points off the robots, and another good 6 points if you can take down all my Dragoons. And it's 12 points there, but the rest of them, you got to come to them. And Cawl is probably not going to be hanging out there up front. All right, that's it. That is the list. So like I said, the army itself, there's a lot to unpack here. And there might be some better detachments and some stuff to go through. This was kind of a last minute call and audible as I started to look at some of it, like starting to really digest this and starting to put it together. I was like, wow, this is very interesting. And the first thing I went to was the Dragoons. And whenever I go into Dragoons, one of the detachments I like to run them out of the most is Cybernetic Cohort, for the ability to blank damage, which I did mention that is on my Datasmith, the enhancement that can zero out damage. That's on my Datasmith. For having that ability, having the ability to get the +3 move, and that's huge. And it was one of the only places that I could reroll hits out of when the unit was damaged. Now we have that reroll off Cawl. So now it's a matter of backing it up with other things that can do damage in this meta. Some of the other detachments don't seem like they do as much, they focus as much on damage, which I feel like might be the reason and where we need to be with the AdMech. And it also gives us really, really fast Kastelan robots. 8-inch move on the robots is nothing to slouch at. And then for 1 command point, we can go +3 move, +1 charge. So now we're going 11 inches with those Kastelan robots, running them right up to something to then punch it in the face. Again, potentially full rerolls to hit on this thing. You know, we switch over in the Assault Doctrina. We're looking at 3s to hit, full rerolls to hit, 6 attacks per dude, twin linked on these fists at flat 3 damage. That's going to hurt, and it always does. I love them. They're very reliable. So we'll see how this all does. Let me know what you guys think with this new AdMech. I know that AdMech have kind of just been very, very boring lately. It seems like this is a better way to go. I didn't go with the eradication beams, even though it's got a good workup on my Dune crawlers, because I still like that big strength 16 hit. And we'll see what we can do in the lane this week. All right, guys. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.